In today's video, I'm going to show you how I make my seed starting mix and how I planted my tomato seeds. Today, I have a very special guest, my dear friend, Anthony Ward, a Dubliner, true and true, born and raised, professional musician, and he's visiting from Dublin, and he's going to be my very first special musical guest here on Brian's Green Garden. Today we are planting tomato Cherokee and Beefsteak, two of my favorites, and they will be going into this seed starting box I've made. And here's what we'll be working with today. First, we have our worm castings, and then some coconut fiber, and a little bit of sheep manure. I'll be sifting that later. Of course, perlite to offer some drainage, and a little bit of garden soil. Okay, enough messing about. Let's get this seedling tray mix ready. Okay, what I'm going to use is a little bit of the soil Omar had in his last seed tray. It was looking like it was doing really well, so I'm going to use some of that. I might even want to strain that a little bit. Pretty fine, like fine coffee grounds. All right, a little bit of this. A little bit of this. And a little bit of this. I just do it until it looks good. Let's see how many I can get in here. I'm going to put 2 in each. Sometimes I put 3. Let's get these tucked in. So I just separate them a little bit. Tuck them in there a little bit. One over here, one over here. Let's get the spray bottle all pumped up. Fine mist doesn't move the seed around. The seed basically stays where I planted it. If you have the jet on too strong, it can knock it right out of there. 6 days later, we have the tomatoes sprouting. Tomatoes coming up on day 6. And here we are 30 days later. Don't they look great? Now these little cellular seed trays, there are pros and cons to them. Often you have to transplant them into another pot before you put them in the garden. So we'll be looking at different ways in the future. So this is the first time I'm using this part of the garden after leaving it fallow. Check out my video on leaving your garden fallow. And I'm preparing it for the tomatoes. Never a big fan of plastic in the garden, but here during the winter months it gets cool enough that the roots in the ground don't get warm enough for the tomatoes, and the plastic really helps to insulate the ground and keep it warm. Now there are other options, and I would love to hear. I saw some paper, kind of cardboard. If you guys have any ideas for me that are non-plastic, leave them in the comments below. Now in my garden I use the drip watering system, so I have a hose under here, and every 10 or 15 centimeters or so there's a gotero, they call them, or a drip hole, and that's where I'm cutting a hole so I can access the ground there and plant the tomatoes. Careful with the fingers, safety third always. So these little tomato plants are ready to go in. You've probably heard bury deep, and I like to bury deep, so I put them up. I take the two bottom seed leaves off and I just plant them as deep as they can go, and that way, you know, more roots develop on the stem. More roots, more nutrients, better plants. And time for the essential watering in. Get enough water in there so the roots can make contact with the soil and start delivering those nutrients. Thinking of the future, I harvested some arundo donax, or Spanish cane, which luckily grows like crazy around here, and they're great for making any kind of tomato supports or other things in the garden. Optional step here, you can just leave the outside of the cane on if you like. It's not going to make any difference if you clean it, only it's going to look a little nicer if you think, and that's what I like to do. So I just spend a few extra minutes and make it look pretty, and so much nicer and enjoyable with the hori. The first time I built a tomato support like this, I didn't break out the big tools, and I just tried to push the sticks in, and they didn't go in far enough, and they didn't support the plants enough, and basically fell apart. So go the extra mile and dig the extra depth. Now the type of tomato support you build will depend on the type of tomato you have, if it's determinate or indeterminate. The determinate plants just grow to a certain bush size, put out all their tomatoes, and then that's it. But the indeterminate ones will grow like a vine and crawl up, so you need a bigger support system for that. But you know, I just kind of got into a routine of building the supports like this, and I'm just going to make a big one, because you never know what's going to happen with these tomato plants. Well, that should do it for now. So you see here, I just kind of put these to kind of stop the tomato plants from bending over and give them something to hold on to. And along here, put these braces to kind of give it a little more stability. And these tomato plants should withstand the windstorm that we've got coming. You can feel it coming already. But and as the tomato plants grow, I will add to it if necessary. I think they're going to be all right. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I will be giving you some updates about how these tomatoes are doing. Bye bye.